Hi everyone. Uh, Welcome. My name is Farhan Hussein. Uh, I'm the community engagement lead. So today I will be hosting you, and I want to thank everyone who has attended here. Uh, as I said, my name is Farhan Hussein. I'm a student at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology in Kenya. So I'm pursuing Bachelor of Science in Information Technology. And today I would like to take you through some of the things that uh, we need to observe throughout the meeting. Uh, in this virtual meeting, etiquities, I would like everyone to pay attention to it so that our event goes smoothly. Number one, we request everyone to stay muted. Keep your microphone muted unless you're speaking. This will help us minimize the background noise for everyone, and you can hear when the presenter or the moderator is speaking. Number two etiquette that we will request you to adhere to is use the chat feature provided in the Zoom. You feel free to share your thoughts, your questions, comments in the chat box. We also use it to engage with you throughout the day. We are ready and willing to answer whatever question you ask us. Number three, be present and engage. We would like full participation, uh, fully full participation and discussion uh, as the meeting goes on. Number four, we would like you to raise your hand in case you have question. There is a feature for raising the hand. If you want to, you can ask a question during the question and answer sessions, or type in the chat if you don't prefer speaking. Number five, we will request you respectful communication in this forum. Please be respectful in all interactions. The summit is space for learning and exchanging ideas. So let's keep it positive and professional. Video, sorry. We encourage you to turn on your video to create a more engaging and connected environment. Um, yeah, again, welcome to day two of the We Lead, We Educate Global Education Summit. Our summit's slogan is Transforming Youth, Navigating Education, highlights our goal to support and guide high school students, university students, young professionals, parents, educators, and stakeholders. Today's session will cover crucial topics in education, career development, and leadership with the following sessions. Session 1, Session 4, as we have stopped at session 3 yesterday. In session 4, internships and work experience. Session 5, the future of education, what needs to change. Session 6, preparing students for higher education as parents and educators. And about our organization, about the College Guide Africa, Education Guidance Development Initiative. College Guide Africa, now registered as a non-profit, as the Educational Guidance Development Initiative, was founded in 2021 as an online community with the goal of promoting education, career development, and youth empowerment across Africa. With the help of our free resources shared through social media, we have now collectively reached over 23 million youth worldwide. Our online community, now over 40,000 strong, offers valuable guidance on university applications, networking, career advancement, productivity, and industry specific skills to help young people stand out and grow professionally. At College Guide Africa, Educational Guidance and Development Initiative, we focus on education, leadership, and empowering youth. Our mission is to give every young person, regardless of their age, gender, disability, socio-economic background, or any other circumstance, equal access to education and career development opportunities. By improving your employability, promoting productive employment, and fostering leadership, we aim to inspire the next generation of change makers. Now, guys, let's connect. This is day 2 of the We Lead, We Educate Global Education Summit. Let's hear from you. Where are you joining us from? Drop your country, city in the chat box below. What are you looking forward to today? Tell us what session or topic excites you most. Feel free to type your introduction in the chat. And thank you for your listening. Yeah, let's type a country, the city, what you expect forward in the chat box. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you for your comments, for your, yeah, I can see, yeah. So now let me take this opportunity to welcome our session 4 moderator, Tariro Mushare. Please take over the session.
Thank you so much. How are you?
How are you?
So I'll be your moderator for today, and my name is Tarom Shore from Zimbabwe. I'm a communication specialist and a digital marketer as well. So today our key speakers will be Tsepo Ndlovu, Tsepo Happy, Tubelihle Roslyn Ndlovu, Esther Kolade, Barakat Aderonke Adiwimbi, and lastly, Sean Scrada. So I'm hoping that they've all connected for this session. I'm hoping that they are already connected. Michael, can you please confirm that? Can my speakers please confirm that they are already connected? I can see Barakati Adewimbi is in the house, but I can see Tubelihle Rosalind Lovu, Sean Scrada and Tiepo Happy. They've already said they'll log in late. So let's get our summits. Let's get our session started for today. So my first question, this goes to every speaker. Why are internships and work experience essential for career development? So any speaker in the building can respond to this question. It goes to every speaker. It's just a general question.
Okay. Hi everyone. I am Adewimbi Barakat and I'm a speaker. First of all, I would like to thank College Guide Africa for this beautiful and amazing opportunity. I feel like it's such a privilege to be here to talk about things that I feel very passionate about. And I'm a recent graduate. I just graduated this year. So I would like to say that I'm officially a developmental economist, well, aspiring, but yes, I'm officially one. And yes, so straight to the question, which says, why are internships and work experience essential for career development? I don't think that the value of internships and work experience when it comes to career development can be overemphasized on. And this is because internships, when you're in university, when you're in school, you're being taught most times the theoretical aspect and the theoretical part of whatever course it is that you're learning, most times. And internship is what gives that practical view to what you're learning, and it allows you to really understand how the course that you're studying can be applied in the real world and in real terms, and how this can positively impact the world and positively impact yourself. And aside from that, internships also help to gather connections, because you would find that after graduation or after you finish from school, and even during school, you would find that you need connections, you need people. Nobody can survive being an island. So I would say that internships help in gathering the connections that you would need in the long run, and they help you to meet people that could possibly even be your mentors, people that could guide you basically on your journey, on your path to being whoever it is you would want to be. And believe it or not, internships are also essential for personal development. For me, I feel like internships help with that journey of really helping to explore and knowing what I really want, because internships, it's not like a permanent job, and work experience too could possibly be a permanent job and whatnot. But I feel like when you have that time to just really delve into a lot of things, it allows you to know what you would really want for yourself, and to be able to understand and identify if this is something that you would really love to do in the long run. There are many other important reasons for why internships are essential for career development, but those are the ones that I would hammer on for now. Thank you.
Hi, Terry, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that I was muted. Thank you so much, Barakati Adewimbi. So I have another question for you. As someone who has passed through internships and who has graduated in your profession and career, what are the mistakes that you think students on internships during their internships, the mistakes that they must avoid so that they can be employable? Thank you. It's directed to you, Adewindi.
Okay. I think some of the mistakes, or one of the mistakes that students tend to make is they tend to stay in that box. Like for instance, you are interning at a company and you're being posted into the taxation department. Because you're being posted or because you're put in the taxation department does not mean that you should not allow yourself the room to explore other departments within the organization. For instance, I'm an intern, I'm working at so firm, and I'm in the taxation department. There's nothing that stops me from going to meet the supervisor and kindly, politely asking if I could, try another different department. Not because you do not enjoy where you're staying, but because you just want to see how it's like to apply your knowledge in various sectors such as going into the consulting department, for instance. So I think that's one of the mistakes that students make. Another mistake that people do make when they're interning is they tend to be by themselves. You see a lot of people at work and you see the trending meme when people say they go to work but they're supposed to maybe like around 8 and then they do what they're supposed to do and immediately work is over, that's let's say 5 p.m. they're rushing back home. There's no you haven't made any new connections. If you're being asked to name like 5 people at work, there's no answer that you would be able to provide. So I feel like it is very important to network, not just in your department, but also in other departments, because you never know, the person that you're connecting with may help you and may assist you to get that dream job that you would like to work at, or even to help you to maintain your workstation, your job at the place that you're interning at. So that's one mistake. Another mistake that I would say students do make.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adewimbi. And since some other speakers have not joined yet, you will be the speaker of the time for the time being until all the other speakers have joined in. So another question. Sepo is here.
Oh no, he's not.
Okay, so we only have Adewimbi Barakati as our speaker for this time. So my next question to you is, how can internships help in developing a professional portfolio, and how can schools help with this? Over to you, Barakati.
Thank you very much, Tariro. Like I said before, I'm going to now expatiate on the importance of internships in developing your professional portfolio. And I would allow me to be a bit personal with this. So during my time in university, I studied economics. I've mentioned that before. My school did not, there was no sort of scheme for my course to enable me to have work experience outside. Like, for instance, for some courses in my school, it is essential that you have some sort of work experience. The work experience that you have is part of your course load for the whole semester. And if you do not do it, you're not going to be allowed to graduate. But that wasn't the case for my course. For my course, it was you do it, you don't do it, you graduate either ways, which I feel is very wrong. So, while I was in uni, I didn't understand the importance of internships. And I realized much before I even graduated, I had made a huge mistake. And why is that? Because I realized few months, few weeks before my graduation, I was stopped with the question, what's next? What am I going to do now? Because I literally had zero to none connections. I had very little, basically no experience in what I wanted to do and what I want to do. And that was such a frustrating time for me. And so that's why I feel like doing internships is really important because firstly, what I was learning in the university, I didn't have a view or an idea of how it would be like to apply my course in the real terms. I now started using my LinkedIn profile to reach out to people. I reached out to this particular economist and I asked him, I was like, what departments would you say an economist can work in? Because I genuinely didn't know. I genuinely didn't know how the roles that economists like me were playing at big firms, at firms, small or big, and I was scared. And mind you, I wasn't failing on my courses. It's not like I didn't know what I was doing. I was acing my courses, but I had the theoretical view. I had the theoretical perspective. There was no practical perspective towards my course. And that was very frustrating for me, to be very honest. So I feel like, well, not that I feel like, the fact is internships help to translate that theoretical view of the course you're studying, of whatever you're studying, into the practical terms. I'd like to see that journey as how before diamonds are diamonds, they're basically a hard rock, right? And I feel like internships are that process, is that process basically of transforming that hard rock into the little diamonds, into the very valuable and treasured diamonds that we see today, right? So that's one thing. Another thing is that internships help to develop professional skills. You are going to learn over the course of your journey during internships that the professional world is very different from the four corners of your school and your university. There are what is called technical skills and soft skills. Soft skills can be built and can be gotten during your time in university from engaging in various activities, but then technical skills, that's where the real thing is. And even professional skills still need to be harnessed or can be harnessed in the real world, right? And I feel like that's very important because for me, like I said, I'm going to be very personal. I had a lot of soft skills. My time management was, well, my friends would say otherwise, but my time management, I would say, was quite okay. In terms of my critical thinking skills, my analytical skills, I was there. But then when it came to the real deal, show us, okay, if you're entrusted with this particular role, do you have any experience at all to show us that, okay, you can do this? And then you're going to be looking like, well, and then that's when there's a problem, right? So that's another thing. And like I said before, internships also help you with connections that you would need for after school life, because after school life is totally different. There's so many unexpected things, and you never know who you may need to reach out to for help. So it is very important to engage in internships so that you have these connections at hand anytime you need something, you need help. And it may not necessarily be that the connections you would have would land you your job. The connections you have can help you. Like, for instance, I had connections, a lot of connections that I have on LinkedIn are mostly people that are CV writers, CV reviewers, right? And a lot of these CV writers and CV reviewers helped me to package my CV and to make it what it is today. And I am very grateful for that. I'm grateful for the connections that I have. So that's another thing. Another thing, like I said before, that internships are essential for is for personal development, to enable you to have that solid foundation for your career. And I say this because I have a friend, and my particular friend is trying to, she wants to go into certain internships now. Why is that so? Because she wants to see if she wants to go into the consulting sector, and she wants to see if that is something that she would like to do. So that's the kind of thing that internships allows you to do. It allows you to see if you would like to do consulting, if you would like to be a mechanical engineer, or you kind of prefer something else, you prefer to go into tech. It gives you that space, that room, right? Because most internships, when you want to apply for them, they understand that you're just students, and they understand that you're about to enter into the real world. So they don't really require much experience from you. Most times they require about 0 to 2 years of experience. So that's always a plus. And another thing that internship does, it is that it allows you to stand out to employers. I don't think this is something that's been hammered on enough. You cannot desire or aspire to apply to a particular firm, and you cannot present to them a little bit of experience that you have. And I'm not even saying experience in what you're applying for. I'm saying experience to show them that you've worked in the four corners of a professional space before, and that you understand what it's like to engage in professional activities within that space, right? So that gives you an edge compared to other people that would be applying at the time. So that's one thing. And the second part of my question says, how can schools help with this? Now, a quick backstory to when I spoke about how my course didn't necessarily require me to have internship experience before graduating. I believe that all courses, everyone that goes to the university should be mandatory. Everybody should be required to have some sort of experience before you're allowed to graduate, right? And I wish that was the case for me. I really did wish, because that would have forcefully allowed me to seek these opportunities before much like more time before I graduated, right? And let me bring this back home. In Nigeria, we have schemes that the government implements. There's the CWES scheme, there's the IT scheme, and there are many schemes. There's the new scheme that was recently just introduced, the CTM scheme, the Career Teaching and Mentoring scheme, right? And that allows students to go to have ample experience before graduation, because it is very important. It's very important, right? And I feel like schools should revise their curriculum. Aside from the fact that they should make it mandatory for students to have experience before graduating, their curriculum should be revised to kind of shift that strict theoretical view to make it a little bit more practical. So while you're doing the theory, there's a little bit of practicality to what you are learning and to your perspective towards the course that you are studying, right? And another thing that I personally thought of that could change, the educational sector would be having virtual internships as a course. Yes, I feel like virtual internship should be a course on its own. It should be a course load so that, because there's some students that may not necessarily get that internships at other companies due to reasons known to that person. But then when schools decide to create internships, right, and they could make them virtual, this gives that student kind of a hands-on experience, right, towards what it is that they would like to delve into. And I would like to take this question a little bit broader and ask, what can my country or what can countries do to help with career development? I would say that personally, for my country, we need to invest more in education. Yes, the allocated percentage of the budget that should be invested in education by UNICEF for Nigeria is 15%. But guess what? My country is investing about 7% to the educational sector, which is way lower than the expected investment into the educational sector, which I feel like is very wrong. And I would say that if more money, if more funds, more resources are being invested into the educational sector, it's going to change a lot of things, and it's going to allow students to have more, I feel like it's to give that incentive to want to develop your career and to develop yourself, basically. And lastly, I would say that a lot more of technology should be infused into the educational sector. We need, because the world is evolving. This is 2024, right? And there's a lot that a lot of students do not know regarding the technological sector. And then they see that when they're going to these workplaces to do things and to have jobs, they realize that they have to use technological devices, and they see that they do not have the skills to be able to allow them to efficiently do the job or the task that they're being assigned to. So that's one thing I would say is also very important, investing in technology and just giving students, people that are trying to be themselves, the space and the resources and easier access to these resources to allow them to grow and to become whatever it is that they aspire to be. So yes, that's my answer to the question. Thank you very much. Over to Tariru.
Okay, thank you so much, Barakat. That was an insightful response from you. And I'm sure that we have a lot of takeaways from what you have said. We learned a lot. And I would like to welcome Esther Kolade. And my next question is directed to you, Esther Kolade. And I'm hoping that you settled in well. I see you are in the building. So my first question to you is, what are the most common mistakes that interns make, and how can they be avoided? Over to you, Esther Kolade.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon from wherever you're joining from. I'm so sorry I'm joining in late, and I missed my first question, I guess. Okay, what are the mistakes that interns make? I would share from some of my own experiences, things I'd noticed with my mates. I heard the last speaker saying something about the fact that schools, I'm not sure, I think the fact that schools should allow internship opportunities. And I'm glad that at least my school, which is College of Medicine, University of Lagos, where I just recently graduated from, we have this internship opportunity, 6 months, where you get to learn real life experiences, you get hands-on experience on what you're being taught in class, putting them to practical use. And I think it's from that point that I think it's a great initiative for federal schools. It gives students that opportunity to be able to leverage hands-on experiences and all of that. So some of the mistakes I think that students make during internship opportunities, getting internship opportunities and all of that is number one, most times students really okay, when you've gotten the job, okay, you're placed on an internship, you've gotten, the placement you want, and you finally got that place you really wanted to. And then most times students just, they trivialize this, right? Not even thinking that, oh, I might even want to come here in the future. I might even want to come here later on to, maybe when I'm done with school, come here later on to, probably get a full-time role. So most times you see people strolling in late. There was a place I did my internship sometime last year, and then I had another person who was also interning, and it was always constantly coming late. It was always constantly coming late. I mean, the fact that they are not paying you, or some people are lucky enough to get a place where they could pay them, even if it's just stipends, might not be the normal standard salary, right? Even if they are not paying you, I mean, for the fact that you are getting hands-on experience that you can practically put in your CV that, okay, while I was in school, I was able to get these 3 month, 6 month experiences, does not give that right to, play with things that are important, that I believe it's important to your life like that. So the guy was always constantly coming late, and he did not get to finish because they had to write a letter to the school, to his department, that it was constantly coming late. So I think number one is avoid lateness. Take it seriously. Like, if you get an opportunity to intern in a place, it might not even necessarily be the place you really wanted. It might not be, maybe you were eyeing, maybe if you were hiring, maybe you're a medical student now, like maybe you did pharmacology, and you're hiring like a big pharma company, probably here in Nigeria or something. And maybe for some reasons you could not get it. And then the place maybe you just settled for a community pharmacy, maybe a local store where they just sell drugs. I mean, for the fact that you're somewhere, you should be grateful, right? So avoid everything that makes you not to be punctual. You want to have good impression on the people who hired you. You want to also be able to proudly say when you are done. You want to be able to boldly, encourage other people. So avoid coming late. Another thing that I also believe that students make mistakes of is that they don't always deliver. They believe that, I mean, I'm just an intern here, I can do shabby work, I can just do anything I want, and I mean, it's just for me to get my grades, it's just for me to just be, I know, I will not put in my CV that I did this, I did that, even when I knew that I didn't do it, right? So always, that number two mistake I believe students make is that they don't deliver high quality work. If you are working in a certain place, whatever you are given to work on, whatever task, whatever responsibility, you need to proactively, deliver high quality work. Go beyond, go the extra mile. Nobody is saying you should burn yourself out, but ensure that whatever they give to you, you are delivering it as it is, as they want it, or you can even go the extra mile to make it even better. That you are, your mindset should be, this place that I am in, I'm leaving a lasting impression here, so that you don't know, in the next 1-2 years, you might want to be back at that place to be like, oh, I mean, I worked here some years back. I mean, I couldn't get a place, so it will even be a good opportunity for me to probably come here and do some work, maybe pending the time I'll get the job of my dream or something. So you want to leave a lasting impression. Number three, the third mistake that I believe students make is that they don't care about relationships. right? And I think building relationship with people. Someone said, so I went for a conference a while back, and someone said something that in climbing your ladder to success, if you had to choose anything, ensure you choose people. Yes, people would always, people always do things that you don't like, but at the end of the day, you still need people, right? So it is essential that you build relationships. So I am encouraging everyone here, every student here, is that please avoid that mistake of, oh, I don't care what my supervisor will say. I don't care what this person at work is going to say. I mean, it's just for a short while. Your internship can either make you or mar you, right? So you have to avoid that mistakes of not, building quality relationship with people where in the place or in your place of work, people in that, in that place of work. Then I think another mistake is that people do not document their experiences well enough, right? During your internship, try to track your accomplishments. If you are putting in the work and you are doing in some things, you are contributing to a lot of things, try to track your accomplishments. The roles you were given, try to write things down, try to know that, okay, these were the specific things I worked on, these were the results I got working on this. Maybe you maybe you were working in a sales department and you were constantly meeting your target or something. These are things you really want to include in your CV. Oh, while I was interning here, I was able to increase probably maybe 10% of this goods. I was able to, we're able to retain our customers. I was able to do this. You want to track your accomplishments so that you can show that you were okay. You didn't just come to work there, but you were also valuable to the company. And these are things that employers want to see. These are real results that employers just oh, I did this with this team, I did this. They're all fine to have in your CV, right? But they also want to see how you were able to bring valuable contributions that led to the growth of whichever department you had worked during your internship. So I believe that if students can avoid all of these mistakes and put in the work, document their experiences, demonstrate professionalism, build relationships, and always exceed the expectations of their supervisors or their head of department, I believe they'll be able to get the most out of their, internships, out of their place of work, right? Thank you. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you so much, Esther. That was quite insightful, and I have a lot of takeaways from what you've just said. It was a lot. Thank you so much. And my next question again to you, Esther. Why are internships and work experience essential for career development? Over to you, Esther.
Okay. Why are internships? Okay. And work experience thing. Okay. So I think I got the question. So I believe they are like really very vital because internship gives you that entry level insight. It gives you that entry level insight that you need for whatever whichever way you want to grow in your career. Maybe you are looking at attaining a particular career goal. You want to get to a certain level, and trust me, your internship and your work experiences matter a lot, right? There are even people that, because they want to work in a certain place, they will get internship opportunities even if they were not paying them. And I'll use myself as an example, right? I've always fascinated about clinical research. I've always wanted to get into the clinical research space and do amazing things, contribute to drug development and all of that. And the first thing I had to do was go for an internship opportunity. I had to apply for an internship opportunity at even if it was not necessarily paid, right? Because I know that get the experiences I'm going to get from this internship, I can actually, put it in my CV that, okay, I've been able to get an entry level insight on this role. such that I can start applying, maybe I start applying for jobs, even take more courses, right? So I believe that internships are like very, very, very crucial. They give you that hands-on experiences, that hands-on experience that you really need to be able to thrive in your career. Because most times now, most employers will always ask you, okay, what have you done? You said you want to do this. What have you been able to do in this area? Have you been able to probably take courses that would encourage you to work on some project that you can show off that, okay, this is what I've been able to do? Have you interned anywhere before? You hear that a lot of times now. They'll ask you, have you interned? Have you done something in this aspect before? So I think that internship should be something that students should look out for now, whether you are paid, if it's, as long as it is something along the line that you want. I believe that internships are something that students should always look out for now, as long as you want to, as long as you want to get that experience that you really, really, really need, even if it's going to be a short period of time. I believe that internships are really, really very crucial, and more people should actually source for internship opportunities. I also believe that it's a pathway to probably getting retained on that in that company, whichever company you find yourself. And yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Esther. And what advice would you like to give to students who are about to start their internships so that they can avoid some of the mistakes that you have mentioned earlier, and so that they can make the most of their internship period? Over to you, Esther.
Okay, so my advice to students that are willing to take internship is that proactively take on extra responsibilities. Take on extra responsibilities. I mean, if you want to grow in experience, you should take on more responsibility. Don't just say, oh, this is what they told me to do, and then I'm just, even if that particular task or is not available at the moment, I'm just going to say that I'm not going to do anything. I mean, it's none of my business. I'm just here to people. You should take on more responsibility, because you're not just getting the experience alone, but you're also gaining valuable knowledge that you can translate into something meaningful later on. And I also believe that students should be able to build relationships, right? I mean, build relationship with your colleagues, your supervisors, people that they've gone ahead of you. Build good relationship with them, so that if you are looking for an opportunity later on, you can always reach out and know that, okay, I mean, I've been able to build good relationship with this person. I can reach out for opportunities. I can reach out, if I probably maybe for retainment, and maybe if I want to come back to this company to also still do something and get employed again. And another thing is always ask for feedback. Right, constructive feedback to help you improve. If they're constantly complaining about something, I believe it's your responsibility to sit back, reflect, and work on those things. Even when you do a particular task, always ask for feedback, so that it helps you to improve. So maybe when you're getting that same role at a later time, maybe not as an intern, some of the things you've learned during your internship, you'll be able to put them into practical use. And be professional, regardless of whether you are not a full-time staff yet. As long as you are interning in that particular space, be professional. Be professional in terms of your punctuality. Be professional in terms of being reliable. They can call on you to do something, and then you will deliver the job right. And always maintain a positive attitude to everything. You won't be like, oh, we can't trust so and so person because we're not sure this person will deliver the right thing. Be professional, right? You never know where you need, where you need someone in that company to be able to get to a certain place, or maybe someone that would even write a reference or something for you. So you want to be professional. It goes beyond the internship, right? It also talks about the opportunities you might want to get from that same place of work. You might want to travel abroad and you need a reference. You need someone to write a reference letter for you. What if you had behaved so badly that you cannot even go back there to ask for a favor, right? And finally, engage in discussion, be part of what is going on in the company. If they're having like a workshop, you can offer to do something, offer to moderate a session. If they're having conferences, offer to, do something that that would also impact your future, right? impact your future. So I believe that with this advice, students can actually make the most out of their internship opportunities.
Okay, thank you so much, Esther. That was quite educative, and I'm sure that we have learned a lot from what you have said. And my last question to you, that I'll ask you maybe to make it brief because of our time. What should students do to get return offers from internships or previous work placements to stand out? Over to you, Esther.
Well, if you want to be retained, and maybe that's most of the things I shared earlier are still some of the things that I believe that will help you get retained, right? The fact that you enabled during your internship experience, you were able to, apply yourself. Basically, you're able to apply yourself to the company's policies. I mean, before you start work at anywhere, they will always give you an agreement letter or something, a contract to sign. So it's not just an ordinary contract. It tells you what the company policy is all about, what they really believe in. So if you're able to apply yourself, you leave a lasting impression on your employers, maybe the particular department you were placed into work, the fact that you always deliver quality job, you are always on time, you are not, the fact that you always seek feedback because you want to grow, not just feedback to feed your ego, because just a feedback that would help you grow. These are the things that employers always look out for, even if you have like little or no experience in that particular space. But the fact that they've been able to see you, that working in this in this place, you've been able to apply yourself, you were more curious about learning, about growing your relationship with your colleagues. These are things that people want to see. So when you go back, maybe when you finish from school and then you decide that you want to go, you go back to that same place to work, people would always put in good word for you, right? Because I mean, you've been able to put the work, and people always want to employ someone that is proactive. People always want to employ someone that is willing to deliver high quality job and has a good relationship with this team spirit, has a good relationship with the other colleagues. People would always want to employ someone like that. So I just believe that if you can avoid the mistake that I mentioned earlier, and you can really put in the work, definitely it will not be so. Even if they don't have any space, they will always want to create a space for you, because they know you are a high value person, right? They would always want to create a space for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther. That was quite insightful, and I had a lot to write, and I'm sure that I'll be able to share with other students that are ready for their internships. And this is a life-changing contribution that you gave us. And my next question will be directed to Barakati Adewimbi. How do internships impact personal growth? Over to you, Barakati Adewimbi.
Thank you very much, Tariro. How do internships impact personal growth, right? So I think in terms of internship, when you put your mind to taking that step, I feel like, or I know that this not only boosts your confidence level, because I feel like it takes a lot to decide that you want to go out of your comfort zone and interact with people and do something, right? I feel like it takes courage, it takes confidence, because not everyone does that. Not everyone can do that, right? And another thing is that you start to realize, or you find out that engaging in internships help to fine-tune the soft skills that you may already have. For instance, your critical thinking skills, your analytical skills, your time management. Just like Esther mentioned about how one of the mistakes that interns do make is coming to work early and doing as they like. You would find that when you put your mind to do the internship that you're doing, you realize that you have to be at work by 8 and you have to be at work by 8. Getting to the workplace anytime later than the time that has been stipulated as the start work time can land you into trouble, right? So that can help you to build your time management skills, your critical thinking skills. You're giving a particular job that requires you to think out of the box. Like, for instance, my younger sister, she currently just finished an internship, a 3-month internship program, right? And she's studying computer engineering. So she was given a task, right? Something that she hasn't done before. And she had no idea what she was supposed to do. She was supposed to make this app, an app that helps with deliveries, right? And she had absolutely no idea what to do. But because she engaged in that particular internship, because she was engaging in that particular internship, it allowed her to think out of the box. She started using a lot of tools. She started to discover a lot of resources that she had no idea existed before, right? So internships help with your soft skills, aside the technical skills. They also help with your communication skills. I have friends, or most of my friends are introverts, and they do not like to go out. They rather just sit at home and watch TV rather than interact with people. You would find that engaging in internships would help you to build your communication skills, because even if you want to be an island at work, you're still going to have to communicate to people above you. You're going to have meetings, you're going to have presentations, you're going to have to interact with people, you're going to have to send emails and all of those things, right? So it would enhance your communication skills in terms of your vocabulary, in terms of your confidence, in terms of how you can actively and easily portray what you're trying to say, in the sense that the next person is able to understand you, like, concisely exactly what you're trying to say, right? So that's one thing. And I feel like internships also help you to build that foundation you need to fuel the drive that you have for your passion. And why do I say this? Maybe because I've had that experience and I've engaged in some things here and there, and I've seen that when I do these things, like what I'm doing right now, the passion I have for developmental economics is just there, and it gets bigger, right? Because it makes me realize that I'm doing what I love to do the most. And it drives me to do much more, because I believe that if I'm doing this now, definitely the sky is but my stepping stone to greater success than I've ever imagined. So that's another thing that I feel like internships help with in terms of personal development. And it helps you to just be that girl, right? You're going to be that girl when you're interning. You're going to be that girl when you're in the workspace or in anything at all that you're doing. It just automatically happens when you decide to genuinely and intentionally put your mind to what you're doing. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Esther. Yeah, we learned a lot and we have a lot of takeaways that can help us and other students out there to avoid certain things when going for their internships, and to also be equipped so that they can get the most out of their internship opportunities. Thank you so much. And we will move on to our question and answer session. And everyone is free to write in the chat section their questions so that our speakers can answer to those questions. And the first question that I'm seeing from Akomolafe is saying, so do you advise students to seek internship within the framework of their discipline or just any field? This question is directed to any speaker who's free to take up the question. So Barakati, I can see you're available. You're the one that is available, and you can answer this one.
Okay, so I would advise anyone to seek internships that they can get their hands on, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be in what you want to pursue. And I say this because you would realize that what you thought you loved doing or what you thought you liked doing may not necessarily be what you would love to do in the long run, right? And I recently applied. I'm in the process of applying for a particular internship. And this internship is in a field that is somewhat related to what I'm doing, but not what I want to pursue. And why am I applying to this particular role? It's because I want to see how it is in other sectors, in other aspects, before I can finally say that, oh, yeah, I've tested the waters and I think I'm good here. I think I'm good with what I want. I think I'm good with what I initially want. Because you see a lot of people, many people on LinkedIn, many people on all over the world from different diaspora. You see someone going to the university and studying law. But then you now find this person working as a technological expert at Google, at Microsoft, and you're like, how, right? And when I ask these people why, they either say that they realize that whatever it is that they were doing at the time wasn't for them. And sometimes it may be because the pay is higher in whatever it is they've delved in, that they've tested and seen. It may be for various reasons, but I would advise to test the waters, put your legs in in things that you can get your hands on, and see if what you've chosen is really what you would like to do. So that when you are at the peak of your career, you can confidently say that you're doing what you love doing and you're also making money doing it. So yes, I would say that.
Thank you so much. The knowledge that we're getting here, I'm sure parents, students, and universities, they are getting something and learning from this session, and they will be able to use this information so that they can change the lives of students and all the other professions, in all their professions. The other question that I'm seeing from Benny Nyundu is saying, we see the nurses or people in the health department, they normally have such during their study, but it's different with other disciplines. To be honest, it's a bit different on hands-on and theory. Now what can we do? Barakati or Esther can take on this question. I think Esther, you can answer this one.
Please, sorry, can you take that again?
Okay, the question is saying, we see the nurses or people in the health department, they normally have such, I think he's meaning to say internships during their study, but it's different with other disciplines. To be honest, it's a bit different on hands-on and theory. Now what can we do? Like he's asking how you can navigate the internships process, because it's different. When you're at school, you are only learning theory, but when you are going for internship, you are supposed to be doing hands-on and practical. But most of the times you won't have the knowledge and idea of what you're supposed to be doing. So he's asking, what are we supposed to do so that we balance the theory and the practical side? I think that's
Okay.
what he was asking.
All right. Okay, I think I get that. So, for internships, I mean, for my own school, I can speak for my school. I mean, you get to apply to the place you really want to work. Let's say, like I mentioned earlier, I said I'm interested in clinical research, right? So, you know, what we do is that we get to apply internship. We get to apply for internship in the specific places we would love to learn. So, you know, and what we were being taught in school, I mean, applying for internship at Exin Research, which is like
one of the top clinical research industry here in Nigeria, applying to work in Exim, I know that, of course, I won't just be getting the hands-on experience alone. I would also be learning about my role, what I'm meant to be doing. So it also comes in from what I've learned in school. I mean, if we're talking about clinical trials, we're talking about drug development, I've learned in school like the basics of some of these things. So, the fact that I'm learning about my role, I'm learning about the things I'm meant to be doing, my knowledge from school also comes to work. Because first of all, it is where I would actually love, it's a place, interning in that place is actually where I've always wanted. So my knowledge, from school, some of the things I've learned, I was able to, apply them in that particular role. So I would say that for internship, first thing is for you to apply to a place where you know that it falls your interest, the place where you really, really want to work. So that as you are learning about the role, as you're learning about some of the things they would ask you to do, you're also putting practice, you're also applying practical knowledge, like some of the things you've learned in your school, you're also applying it in that place of work, right? Some of the basics that I've learned about drug development in school. I've learned about, how to, prescribe medications for different conditions, some of these things, I'm also applying them. So when they are saying some things that work, I'm not completely lost. I know that, I think I have an idea of this because why? I've learned about them in school. But imagine if I was working in a completely different place, maybe a place that I might not even be able to apply some of the things I've learned in school. I might not even be able to apply it at all. I'm only just going there to learn about the job role, to learn about my responsibilities and all of that. It will take a whole lot on me because how do I now correlate what I'm doing in school with what I'm doing at that place of work? So I would say I will always advise that wherever you want to intern at a place that falls your interest, a place that that when I get here, aside the fact that I'm going to be learning about the company and all of that, my role, I'm also going to be applying practical knowledge, the things that have been taught in school. I'm also going to be putting it into place at my place of work. So ensure that if you really do that, I believe that you should be able to you will not just be able to learn from them alone, but what you were taught in school, you'll also be able to put it into good use. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you so much, Elsa. That was very clear, and I hope he has been answered. And this is my last question for this session, and it will be directed to Barakati. It's coming from Regis Muchowe. It's saying, how do we deal with work pressure and stress during internships, given multiplicity of bosses we report to and tasks during internships? This is directed to Esther. Over to you.
How do we apply? I heard someone else's name, so I was not. How do we apply pressure?
How do we deal with work pressure and stress during internships, given the multiplicity of bosses we report to and tasks during internships?
Okay, so how do we, deal with work pressure and stress-related issues and all of that? So
okay, I'm giving you a minute to respond to this one because of our time.
All right. Okay. So basically, if you're working in a particular place, at first thing first, always learn about your role. Trust me, I will not even lie to you. Maybe for the first week you're starting, you most likely be under pressure because you're trying to learn something new. You've never been there before. You've never handled that particular role before, right? So it might take a whole lot on you. But as time goes on, as you learn the ropes, you begin to learn how to handle tasks more effectively. Okay, I think if I do this way, it makes me work faster. I mean, once you've learned about your role from the very beginning, it's not like over time they will add more, except that you have free time and then you can take on more responsibilities, right? So I believe that at work, managing your time properly, doing what they ask you to do at the right time, so you will not be under pressure such that you will not have to go through a lot of undue stress. If they ask you, do this, and even if they tell you that okay, you can take it home and probably do them, and you know that, oh, while you're working, you are not really doing as much. You can always work on those tasks immediately, so just that when you even get home or something, you always have time to rest. So I think I think it's just best if you are able to, if you learn how to manage your time effectively, learn about your role from the onset and how you can, it also gets advice from people around how you can, learn to work faster, work effectively so that you are not burnt out. Because I mean, once you always ask for advice, especially for colleagues working in that particular organization, they will always be able to give you tips on how to ensure that you're not, burnt out or something.
Okay, thank you so much, Esther, for such an informative response. And thank you so much, everyone, for connecting and for joining. It was such a great time moderating this session. And I'll be handing over to Paige for the next updates of our program. Thank you so much, guys. It was nice moderating this session. It was nice having everyone. And we learned a lot. We have a lot of takeaways. And I'm sure everybody who connected will be able to use the information and the insights that they got from here, and they can apply them in their universities. If they are parents, they will help their students with the information. Thank you so much. I'm handing over to Paige.
Thank you so much, moderator, for welcoming me, and I appreciate everyone who has been tuning in. So we are going to proceed to the next session. But before I mention the next session, I know we are supposed to have the breakout room, but we shall have it after session 5. So our next session is the future of education. What needs to be changed? So that is the topic for the next session. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Can someone confirm? Oh, okay. So okay, thank you. So our next session is the future of education. What needs to be changed? So we have a couple of moderators of speakers. Then I'm going to welcome our moderator, Polani, our Joseph, to moderate us in the session. So please still have your notebook and the pen for all the question and another thing that you may inquire at the end of the session. So please stay tuned. So Ms. Polami, you're most welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Pet. Am I audible? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I can clearly hear you.
All right, great. I hope everyone's been having a great time so far. All right, so our next session is on the future of education, what needs to change. Originally, I wasn't meant to be the original moderator, but I'm still very happy to be here with you all today. So I'm going to be introducing our speakers. So the first speaker we have is Alexander Temo. Alexander is co-founder and director of training and development at the Manson Institute for Leadership Education, MILE, and he is also a global youth ambassador at Their World. He is passionate about entrepreneurship and human capital development through the promotion of education policy for global cooperation and development, free markets and public policy, and youth empowerment. And our next speaker, although she's not here yet, she's trying to connect. Hopefully she'll be able to join in soon, is Nitya Lokia. She is our youngest speaker. She's 13 years old and she is a global youth leader and has rapidly become a prominent voice in international policy making. As the CEO of the Next Leaders Youth Committee, NLYC, and a youth representative at the United Nations, Nitya leads youth-driven initiatives that shapes global policies, particularly within the Together for SDGs coalition. She also serves as a UN youth representative and an SDG 16 representative to the UN civil society. Her influence extends to high-level consultations with organizations like UN Women, UNICEF, and the World Bank. Recognized for her visionary leadership, she was awarded the 2024 Global Recognitions Award and continues to inspire youth worldwide, championing sustainable development and reshaping global governance with her strategic insights. Alexander, are you here? Let's start off quickly.
Hello, I'm here. Am I audible?
All right. Yes, you're audible. Great. All right. So we'll start off, and then we're meant to have another speaker, President Mac, but I'm not sure he'll be able to join us. But just in case he is, Miktosh Kasembe, also known as President Mac, is a leader, public speaker, radio personality, and investor, known for his charismatic, influential, and dynamic way of speaking on leadership and business psychology. He is well known as the president of public speaking. With over 3 years experience in public speaking and 7 years from the day he became an orator, he has delivered impactful keynotes at various prestigious events and student summits, with the most acclaimed being a speaker at the MAI Foundation Global Leadership Summit. President Mac's ability extends beyond the stage, with over 250 hours of radio broadcasting and being a 2-time award-winning student leader. He has a burning desire to shape leaders and create transformation agents of the 21st century. So Alexander, welcome. So we're going to start off with you, and then hopefully more speakers join us. If not, it will basically just become a fireside chat between both of us. Hope that's fine with you.
That's good.
All right. Okay, so the general question is, can everyone see my screen? All right. The general question is, what are the critical changes needed in the education system to meet future demands? That's for you, Alexander.
All right, thank you for the opportunity. Should I share the PowerPoint, or maybe I can just speak? Is it okay, maybe?
Oh, yeah, you can share your PowerPoint. That's fine. I'll stop sharing.
Is it being displayed?
It's coming up. We can't. Okay, yes.
I guess it's being displayed, right?
Yes, it is.
All right. Yeah, so as the world rapidly transforms, driven by technological advancements, evolving job markets, and global challenges such as climate change and inequality, it is crucial that our education systems adapt to these changes. Herein, I'll address the critical challenges that are necessary to prepare education systems for the future, reflecting the question, the future of education, what needs to change? So the first one is shifting from memorization to skills-based learning. The traditional focus on memorization is no longer sufficient. The World Economic Forum predicts that by 2025, 80 million jobs will be displaced by automation, while 97 million new roles will require skills in data analysis, AI, and green technologies. Critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity must be at the heart of education. Instead of rote learning, students need to be taught how to adapt and innovate. Schools must emphasize on STEM subjects such as, I believe that everyone knows STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, along with critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity, preparing students for real-world complexities. The second one is integrating technology into the classroom. Technology is central for the future workforce, and 75% of the jobs by 2030 will require advanced digital skills, according to McKinsey. I believe by now we have seen how technology is advancing, and it's advancing at a faster rate. I've got some people who actually didn't like technology much, because once technology started, people had fear that maybe people lose jobs. But as it is advancing, we need to adopt the technology. Yeah, so schools must adopt technology and invest learning, equipping students with digital literacy. Technology is transforming education by making it more accessible, interactive, and personalized. Most of the schools right now, as I'm saying, they've got online library. If you might just go, we've got a lot of online libraries, and it's easy to access books. For example, if you want, you're doing a research, it becomes easier for you to access books. Unlike in the old days, whereby if maybe you're making a research, you used to travel to libraries. Nowadays, you just Google and then you have got online libraries. For example, you have got the b.ok.org. We've got online, we've got even platforms such as ResearchGate, Academia. It becomes easier for you to access education materials. So we need to integrate technology into the classroom. So blended learning is improving learning outcomes. And AI virtual learning as well as interactive learning apps such as Google Classroom improve learning experiences for students. As I'm saying, most of people who have done yearly network training, you tend to have two cohorts, the online cohort as well as the blended learning cohort. So in terms of the blended learning cohort, which requires online as well as in-person training, it becomes easier because we've incorporated these two learning sessions. So it becomes easier. We need to integrate the technology into the classroom. Yeah. So the third one is specialized learning pathways. Education must move beyond a one-size-fits-all approach. Research from the Gates Foundation shows that students in personalized learning environments achieve up to 12% high academic gains in maths as well as reading. Most of people who also, if you can check with, that speaker 2022 as well as speaker 2018, you will realize that Singapore is one of the countries which have got personalized learning pathways, and actually it is stopping the global education. So we need actually to embrace the personalized learning pathways. So adaptive learning technologies allow educators to tailor lessons to individual student needs, providing personalized instructions that adapt to each learner's pace. There's some people, even in the classroom setting, there's some students who are fast learners as well as some students who are slow learners. So giving each student that pace which a person can learn. For example, you've got Moodle. If you have done the training such as SCORE, for example, Commonwealth of Learning, which they offer online learning, you'll find that they give you that learner pace. It's self-paced learning. So if we embrace the self-paced learning, for example, we will also put, I think it should be UNESCO that put some self-paced learning, which you might enroll and then you do them according to your pace. So if you're a busy scheduled person, you know that maybe you may just reserve, let's say, 1 hour or 2 hours per day. Then if you know that maybe you're a fast learner, then you can finish those learnings in a short period of time. So it becomes easier because it tells each student learning needs. Yeah, so this shift requires training for educators to effectively use these tools, ensuring that no student is left behind. Educators need the tools, they need to learn. So as they are learning, they also improve. So how they can handle the personalized learning pathways. The fourth one is fostering lifelong learning and flexibility. Learning should not stop at graduation. The research paper for OECD, which is Economic Cooperation and Development, actually say that 65% of children today are expected to work in jobs that don't yet exist. So if this Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development is saying this, we need actually to foster lifelong learning, as well as because there are some platforms out there, online platforms, which provide lifelong learning. Where I also work at Mason Institute for Leadership Education, we believe in lifelong scholarship, whereby we believe that people need to continuously learn. So we offer those programs which actually make people learn at every stage of life, because education does not stop at graduation. So schools and universities must promote lifelong learning by offering micro-credentials, online courses, as well as workplace learning opportunities, enabling individuals to reskill and upskill throughout their careers. Germany's dual education system, combining classroom learning with the on-the-job training, is a model for flexible education that needs labor market needs. Then the fifth one, and the last one, promoting global citizenship and sustainability. In a connected world, education must teach global citizenship and sustainability. The UN's Sustainable Development Goal number 4 emphasizes the need for education to address global challenges like climate change and inequality. Sustainability and human rights education must be embedded into the curricula. UNESCO reports that 40% of the young people feel unprepared to address environmental issues. Countries like Costa Rica, which integrates environmental education into the national curriculum, show how schools can prepare students to be both responsible citizens as well as problem solvers on the global scale. To sum up everything, to prepare students for this for the future, education systems must focus their shift as well, because they'll be focusing now. They need to focus towards skill-based learning, embrace technology, offer personalized learning pathways, foster a culture of lifelong learning, promote global citizenship and sustainability. By making these critical changes, we can ensure future generations are equipped to thrive in the everlasting changing world. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Alexander. That was extremely insightful listening to you. I have another question for you, just as we wait for Nikia to join in. All right, so my next question for you is, how can educators, institutions, and parents work together to implement educational reform?
Right, thank you. Let me try to share my screen as well. Yeah.
All right, I think we may have lost Alexander for a minute, but I think as we're waiting, if anyone would like to just briefly speak on it for about 30 seconds, if you have any thoughts, how can educators and parents work together to implement educational reforms? I'll just listen to maybe 2 people speak, just so that we can have this conversation very briefly before he joins us back. Anyone like to give their thoughts? Okay,
Hi,
Alex.
how are you?
All right.
Hello?
Okay, so
Yeah,
Tshepo,
sorry,
we'll
I
come
had
back to you
network
during the
problem.
Q&A, and then you can speak afterwards, Tshepo. Thank you very much.
All right, so let me just share my screen. Is it visible?
Not yet. It's coming up.
Right. Right. Yeah, tell me when it's visible, please. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, so coming to the question, the next question, which is, say that how can educators, institutions, and parents work together to implement educational reforms? Yeah, so as we look to the future of education, one critical question arises: how can these stakeholders work together to implement educational reforms? So the challenges ahead, which are technological advancements, changing job markets, as well as persistent inequalities, demand a united effort from these key stakeholders. Through 5 key ways, I'll explore how their collaboration can drive impactful reforms, ensuring educational systems evolve to meet demands. The first one is promoting equity and access through collaboration. So I'll be explaining how these key stakeholders actually fall into these points. So to begin with, promoting equity and access through collaboration. The first step towards reform is ensuring equity and access. Despite global progress, UNESCO reports that 244 million children are still out of school. Collaboration among educators, institutions, and parents is crucial to closing this gap. For educators, as they identify student needs and advocate for resources, especially for the undeserved communities, this is because educators are the very first people who actually see the need of these children. They see the challenges these children face. They see the barriers these children face. For example, let's say learning barriers, for example, language barriers. They're also the first people to know the barriers of, like, for example, lack of access to education technologies. So these ones are actually better off they're in a better position whereby they can locate these students by identifying them. But the problem with educators, they cannot work on their own. They also need institutions. So educators must partner with institutions to secure the necessary resources to support all students, as these educators identify student needs and advocate for resources. Then institutions such as government and schools must provide adequate infrastructure, while NGOs and community-based organizations can offer supplementary programs such as after-school tutoring as well as technology access programs. Parents are the essential advocates for their children's education. They must be involved in school decisions as well as policy-making processes. I believe in most institutions nowadays, especially high schools, they tend to have school boards. And in those school boards, as well as school committees, they tend to have even parents, they say parent PTA, something like PTA. Yeah, so parents are involved in the decision making. Once these parents are involved in the decision making, it actually promotes that collaboration. They also voice out how those children behave in their homes, how they can help those children, and they're also informed such that once those students are also home, those parents, how it helps them that they learn how they can also help those students that they continue learning. So research shows that parental involvement in the education, their child's education, is strongly correlated with better academic outcomes, such as improving attendance, grades, as well as social behavior. And one of the examples that when I was attending my primary education, there was a time when I was skipping, I was absconding from school. So my parents actually could drag me often, all right? And they would make that follow up. So my parents had a role of actually making sure that I attend the school. And once I go home, they used to ask me, what have you written today? So they could check what I've written, if I had maybe, if the teacher had marked, and if I was correct. If I was wrong, my parents actually would make sure that I get that right. And I would write an exercise, go back to the teacher, go back to the teachers, and then remark. So they also had a key role to play into the education. So parents have that key role into the education. They also need to be the voices. They also need to be involved in the policy-making decisions. To ensure education is equitable, parents must engage with educators and institutions to support reform efforts and advocate for policies that address systemic barriers. The second one is aligning curricula with future skills. With 85 million jobs expected to be displaced by automation by 2025 and 90 million new roles emerging in the field like AI, data science, as well as green technology. This is according to data of World Economic Forum. So the second critical reform is updating curricula to emphasize on STEM subjects and soft skills like critical thinking, communication, as well as collaboration. So educators should be at the forefront of developing and adopting new technology teaching strategies that prioritize future relevant skills. They can use project-based learning, such as to teach students how to solve real-life problems, while also developing teamwork and leadership skills. As these educators teach students using project-based learning, for example, in Singapore, they use the same one. it becomes easier because these ones are aligned with how the world how the industry, global industry works. So they are aligned, and then they develop with critical skills, problem-solving skills that they can apply into the real world. So institutions also, particularly schools, universities, as well as education ministries, need to support educators by updating curricula, providing teachers with necessary trainings as well as resources, and ensuring access to new teaching strategies. Teachers need to be updated. It's a lifelong process. So they too need to be learning. It does not just end on themselves teaching. That's all. Maybe they attended, they graduated, then it ends there. They also need to update their skills. So these institutions need to update the curriculum. They also need to provide teachers with necessary trainings and as well as resources. So parents should encourage a shift from traditional measure of success, like valuing grades as well as test scores, to valuing creativity, digital literacy, and problem solving. So parents these days should actually help their children. For example, I've seen this in high schools, whereby parents are also involved in the learning process of their children. Once these children go back, for example, I've got a cousin. Once he goes back, what happens is he gives his, he lights his assignment. After lighting his assignment, he shares with the parents. And then the parents also actually have a role if they say, fine, this is correct or not. And actually, they also force that child to, they even ask, because they also have got a forum on WhatsApp, I think. Yes, it's on WhatsApp. So they tend to be given, they tend to be told that maybe they're given an exercise. Parents help them, but don't just come in their students' face because it's learner-centered. So students actually make that kind of simple research. They work on that homework, and then they go to their parents. Their parents help them if they are correct or wrong, and then they go back and they mark with their teachers. So those parents need to encourage a shift from traditional measures of success. I was one of the people who my parents could value grades as well as test scores. They would just come. But at the same time, of course, they also valued my learning process. Yeah, but mostly they could look at us. What have you performed? Right? But nowadays, it's more than what have you performed. What are you able to, how are you able to apply what you have learned in classroom to the outside technology, outside world? If those learners, if we align curricula with the future skills that are needed, it will be easier for those learners actually to be applying their knowledge into the real world industry. Because sometimes the education that we attend is quite different from the industry, such that you need orientation. For example, you have graduated, let's say you have graduated from school, but you go to job, you also need orientation, and it's totally different from the from that orientation or from the education that you attend. So we need to align that curriculum with future skills. We need to adopt creativity, digital literacy, as well as problem-solving skills. So this united effort can prepare students for a rapidly changing job market. The third one is facilitating personalized as well as flexible learning. This is another area where collaboration is essential. Traditionally, one-size-fits-all education no longer serves today's diverse student needs. A 2019 US Department of Education study found that personalized learning involves outcome by 12%. Educators must tailor learning experiences using adaptive technology to address individual student needs, but they need the support of institutions to create flexible learning environments. So institutions must invest in the necessary tools as well as technology, such as adaptive learning platforms and artificial intelligence tools to support personalized as well as flexible learning, such as hybrid learning models. Parents, on the other side, can reinforce personalized approaches by regularly engaging with teachers to understand how their child's strengths and weaknesses, and provide the necessary support at home. Collaboration here ensures every student receives the attention they need to thrive. The fourth one, fostering lifelong learning. As technology rapidly evolves, education can no longer end at graduation. 65% of children entering school today will work in jobs that don't yet exist, according to OECD, which is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. That's their projection. So educators should foster a mindset of lifelong learning by encouraging curiosity, critical thinking, problem solving, and adaptability. Institutions, on the other hand, must support educators, such as teachers, with ongoing professional development to model this behavior. Parents, on the other side, can encourage continuous learning at home and advocate for flexible learning opportunities such as online course and certifications. Lifelong learning is key to keeping up with future needs. The last one is preparing global citizens. Education must prepare students for the global to be global citizens. The UN's Sustainable Development Goal number 4 emphasizes the importance of education for sustainable development as well as good citizenship, global citizenship. Educators can integrate lessons on sustainability, human rights, global responsibility, as well as cross-cultural understanding into their teaching. Institutions, on the other hand, particularly curriculum developers and policymakers, should embed these themes into national curriculums, such as Finland's approach. Finland has actually embedded the global citizenship and as well as the sustainability into their curriculum, and learners are able to learn this one, and they're able to apply the knowledge that they learn from the classroom setting. So parents can nurture global awareness by modeling responsible engaged citizenship and involving their children in community services or social justice efforts, such as encouraging their children to be active, responsible members of society. By working together, educators, institutions, as well as parents can prepare students to be engaged global citizens who can tackle the world's biggest challenges. To conclude, henceforth, implementing educational reforms to meet the demands of the future for the future requires strong collaboration between educators, institutions, and as well as parents. Together, they can ensure access and equity, align curricula with future skills, promote personalized learning, foster a culture of lifelong learning, and prepare students to be global citizens. If all stakeholders unite in their effort, we can build an education system that equips the next generation to thrive in an ever-changing world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alexander. You've done such an exceptional job. Unfortunately, our other speakers were not able to join us today. However, we would still proceed. So at this point in time, I would like to ask people if anyone has any questions, if they can put it in the chat room so that Alexander can respond to the questions, just so that we can all get together. So if you have a question, you can unmute or you can type in the chat room.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Hello, Tushepo.
Okay, so I've got a question. Okay, sorry for that. I've got a question. So, how then do we involve our educators, students, and like the community at large in the process of change in terms of like the introduction of AI, things like that. And so what's the best way to integrate everything as a whole without educators, learners, and students being left behind? Because I feel like at this point there's this a gap, students are now teaching or introducing new things to their educators, right? So how can we now make that a collective without, losing at least sense that you're trying to build and unify? Thank you.
Can I be pardoned on the question? Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, I'm asking, how can educators, students, and the community at large and stakeholders, like how best do they get involved in the new, for example, let's say the school is introducing a new curriculum, so how best can the school, the educators, and the parents also, get involved in everything that is happening so that we can all move without students telling their parents that, okay, or convincing their parents about this new technology that's being implemented. So that is one thing that I would like you to touch base on, since like now we've got like the new learning management systems, and your IoTs, the Internet of Things, the virtual learning environments, and all of those things. How then do we be on the same, because of you do understand that Africa is a bit more we are not that advanced when it comes to technology, right? And I see you speaking about also like being global citizens, and because I don't know, I don't want to go further so that I lose my train of thought. I don't know if you understand my question, but then thank you so much. Yeah.
All right, so to begin with, you remember point number 4, I said fostering lifelong learning. By this, we're meaning that education does not end at graduation. There's need of improving in terms of learning. Each time there's actually, if you might, let's say, if I'm stagnant and I say, I know everything right now, that means I don't know everything. Because just maybe in 1 hour, just maybe in 1 month or so, we'll have technological advancements already. By this, we're meaning that there's some technologies, new technologies are still more popping up each and every day. So if, for example, we say, I know everything, and there's no that scholarship, maybe lifelong learning, then definitely we're actually losing track. So even the communities, those people in the communities, parents, they also need to learn, right? For example, let's say in schools, we tend to invite even parents as well, sit with them, then we teach them the new technology, how it integrates into the school curriculum. When I was at primary school, by then I was in grade 6, grade 5, during those people who were in grade 5, actually they had tablets distributed, and those tablets could not be distributed to students, or distributed to parents, and those parents were they could be invited to school. Once they get to be invited to school, what could happen was they could teach those parents how to operate with the gadgets. So once they go home, they could actually teach those their children how to operate with those gadgets. So once they're given an exercise on those gadgets, what would happen is those parents were informed about the new development, the new technology. So it was actually easier for them actually to work with those gadgets. So if you talk about the curriculum is not easier just to change, because this curriculum that we use is not even ours. And for us even to bring a new curriculum, it needs funding. So that global funding, it actually becomes difficult for us to develop new curriculum. But at the to change curriculum completely, that is. But at the very same time, I've seen a good development in most institutions. By this, most institutions are actually integrating technology. By this, you tend to have library in terms of schools. Most of the schools tend to have school libraries. From my secondary school, we had a school library. University also had a library. By this, we could have even computers, and those computers were free to access. Each student, once you have maybe an assignment or an exercise, we could go to those computers, type your assignment, and then off you leave it. Right, so those computers were connected to internet. They are not gadgets exactly like maybe the phones, because let's say maybe secondary school, then we allow those our maybe brothers or sisters in the secondary education to be carrying maybe they say phones. Actually, for themselves, maybe they haven't actually matured yet. So with the Gen Z, you know, the Gen Z actually has got some things that actually they need. So actually it will need maybe for them actually to monitor mostly, but it becomes easier with computers, which are well connected with internet. So themselves will actually work on that. For the parents, they also need actually mobilization. We need to mobilize the community. Teach those, if you're talking about community, teach them the use of technology, teach them basic needs of the technology and basic skills of the technology, because they also need to learn. I did an internship with the government. So there were also these old people who were eight, actually not old people who were eight. So to themselves, they didn't want technology, the computers and the like. They said, no, we don't want computers. They were used to the traditional ways of operating, writing reports. They would write by the hand, everything they would do by the hand. But later on, we started teaching them, and they learned how to use. I've also got some parents, my grandmother, for example, who uses a phone, a gadget. She wasn't used to the gadget, but we taught her. So if they too are humans and are able to learn. So we need to mobilize and we need to teach these parents how to use these gadgets. Then in terms of institutions are actually changing policies, and they align policies that adopt the technology. Most institutions have got libraries, like I said. Those libraries, you tend to have even computers in them. So that's actually, they're not changing the curriculum. We're not changing the curriculum per se, but we're changing actually institutional policies such that they're allowing those computers to be accessed by the students, and those computers are actually connected to internet, and students are able even to make a research. Yes, of course, there's also, with the development, there's also a challenge or maybe something to be aware of. Maybe it is creating an environment, for example, people are not much hardworking. It depends on the people. Maybe that's the part that maybe we can just try to work on, yes. But in terms of working together, educators can also bring in policies. Institutions also create policies that actually implement or adopt technology. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, you answered my question loud and clear. Thank you so much. Even though I feel like we need to have our own curriculum, right? Um, yes. So I mean, like for example, I for one, I'm working on having my own animation school, and so with that being said, I'll have to come up or draft my own curriculum, right? So that anyone who wants to learn animation can be able to utilize that curriculum, and it will forever be used even if I'm no longer alive. I mean, like that's how we create generational thing. Okay, and so now imagine if we are working on those because of also we are auditory beings as Africans. So imagine if we have like all types of learning at once, visually and like you can see and you can listen. And so even though if you are not a person that wants to see, that wants to listen, you can still, be able to get the information. And also I have a question. I don't know if I have enough time or I'm allowed to do this. Okay. I'm just
Tishepo, so we have a
okay.
breakout room, so you can discuss in the breakout room because we really don't have any much time left.
Yeah, but let me just explain on the curriculum. Yeah, in terms of the curriculum, the national curriculum, the challenge is where we get to be funded, the national curriculum, we get to be funded by foreign institutions. We talk about the UNESCO. Most of the countries that are funded by the UNESCO. We don't fund our own curriculums. That's why it becomes difficult for national curriculums to make, for policymakers to make their own curriculum. But in terms of the institutions, that's what I'm saying, it becomes easier because they're the policies. So policies of the institution becomes easier to control than the national curriculum. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So because of time, we need to move to the breakout rooms before our final session for today. So I would like to thank you very much, Alexander, for joining in for session 5. And thank you everyone who is online for listening. So very quickly, I'll hand back to the co-host for today, Petch. Is Petch online? Is Petch there? Okay, great.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Polemi, for welcoming me. I need to give a vote of thanks to everybody who was tuning today, from all the first session and up now. I know, thank you. I'm very grateful. I don't know what to say, but just I'm very grateful for all the speakers and the participants, plus the moderators, for all the wonderful work that you have done. So now we have come to the close of our session.
No, we have one more
Before
session, Pet.
Yeah, we have.
We have a
Sorry
final
for that.
session. It's the time for the breakout room session, then the final session.
Okay. Sorry for that. I really didn't. I just jumped directly to my session. So we are now going for breakup session. So then there you'll have the chance to network. You'll also have the chance to question, interact. So you get to you can even exchange contacts, because the major purpose of this summit is to connect us in different regions across the world, because we are not only in Africa, but in different parts of the world. So please, in this breakup session, you make sure you interact and you try to see how you can connect with one another. Yeah, so please, we are creating the rooms.
Yes, so everyone will be added in about 2 minutes, and then you'd have about 2 minutes just to meet with different people. So, okay, so we'll be back in about 2 minutes. So you can join your breakout rooms, and then we're back for the final session for tonight, which will be done by our educators. All right, so we'll see everyone back very soon.
Are we starting the next session now?
Yes, let's just wait for everyone to join back in. We have
Okay,
the breakout room, so once everyone joins back in, so let's wait for about a minute for more people to join back in, then we can start the final session.
all right.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope you're able to connect with a few people in the short time we had. So at this point in time, I would like to introduce our moderator for this evening session, Dr. Benga Akomolafe. So over to you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. And good evening to everyone, or good afternoon from wherever you are. My name is Benga Akomolafe, and I will be moderating this session. And I'm also an educator and also a researcher. And I think this session is going to be an interesting one because it's very important as regards the educational sector. And so I have seasoned speakers, with me that I'll be discussing some of the issues that we'll be raising in this session. The first speaker is Johnson Ogbanje. Johnson Ogbanje happened to be an experienced educator with a bachelor's degree in engineering and a professional diploma in education. Is a founder of Network of Exceptional Tutors, NETS, and he has spent over 6 years delivering innovative educational solutions to students, including those with special needs. His work spans both Nigeria and the UK, and he has impacted over 7,000 learners through personalized tutoring, teachers training, and digital education. He's passionate about empowering students, teachers, and parents to unlock the transformative power of education. So you're welcome on board. Then I have the second speaker, Veronica Modi. She's a goal-oriented and passionate professional with extensive experience in educational roles. She's a qualified school leader and educationist and has worked in a range of international schools across the Lagos metropolis over the past 23 plus years, implementing the Nigerian as well as the English national curriculum. And she's also the chairperson of Masterpiece Educational Consults, which provides solutions to schools in the area of staff recruitment, training, curriculum development, as well as implementation and assessment. The third speaker that I have with me is Namita Mehta. She's the president and partner at the Red Pen, where she drives business growth and strategic partnerships, helping students gain admission to highly selective global universities. She has a master's in biochemistry from the University of Oxford, and she also has an extensive experience in education consulting. Namita regularly participates in global educational conferences, and she has collaborated with school counselors and admission officers worldwide. She's also a recognized leader in the field, having received the BW Education 40 Under 40 Awards, and being named one of the PIE Live Asia Pacific's 50 Voices in Leadership for the year 2024. So I have these seasoned educators with me, and I hope we're going to have a lot to learn from these wonderful people. I would like to just mention that I have general questions and personal questions that I'm going to be asking the speakers, and each speaker will be having about 5 minutes or so. Yeah, 5 minutes for the general questions, and then 7 minutes for the personal questions. So I will start with the general question. The first question will be directed to Johnson Ogbanje, and the question is, what advice would you give to other teachers or educators who want to effectively help their students to transition for secondary education to higher education? I hope Johnson is online.
Oh, yes, I am.
Yes, thank you. So you can answer the question you have just
Hello,
right.
please let me know if you can hear me clearly. Can you
Yes.
hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, great. So it's such an honor to be here. Thank you so much, College Guide Africa, for the privilege to be here to speak at this event, right? So I really do count it an honor to be here. Thank you so much for the effort you're putting in to be a blessing to people and then to impact lives across the globe, right? So thank you so much. To just go straight to this question, right? What advice would we give to teachers and educators who would like to help secondary school learners to transition into higher education, right? So three things very quickly. While I was brooding through this, one of the things that came to my mind is that many students that are transitioning from the secondary school into higher education do not have this guide, right? So moving from secondary school to higher education, we noticed that this guide to seamlessly transition into something that people really love is really a concern, right? While I was growing up, I wanted to be a medical doctor, right? I ended up being an educator. So I wanted to be a medical doctor. And one of my passions, why I wanted to be a medical doctor, very funny story, I usually share this, is that I wanted to get a cure for HIV and AIDS, right? So that was my passion. That was what I wanted to do, right? So while I was in school, in the primary school, my teacher came to class one day, and then she was teaching and said that she was trying to explain to us what HIV and AIDS mean. And then while she was explaining it, she said, we were not getting what HIV and AIDS meant at that time. And then she gave this analogy. She was like, just assume that all the sickness in the world is just attacking you at this time. Literally that's what HIV and AIDS is all about. And immediately I heard that, I was like, then it's not difficult to cure this. Why don't we just make a big capsule that has all the drugs for all the sickness in the world, and you have a cure to this? You see, at that point, I was having this, I had this mindset, I had the solution, right? And I was eager to solve a particular problem. And really, I feel like I would have really done very well in the education, in the medical sector, but then I didn't have any guide, right? So I feel that secondary school teachers and educators should be able to help our students to understand what it entails, what exactly is their passion, what's their gifting, what do they have flair for. You notice that many students who go to college do not really know what they want to study. It's just whatever that is being thrown at them is now what they just decide to study. So there's this concern, there's this growing concern. People are now studying things that they are not passionate about. They are studying courses that they do not love, and that's a huge problem. So you find out that you are bringing out educators, teachers, you have people who are studying, who are in educational sector, angry teachers in the classroom, because that's not really what they wanted to do. Angry, flogging everybody in the classroom because they don't want to teach, right? You have people in the medical field who are studying medicine because their parents asked them to. And you have angry medical doctors who are just doing what they want to do, angry at patients, and all sorts of things. But if people are doing what they are passionate about, I feel that there'll be a huge change. Secondly, right, I feel that secondary school teachers and educators should be able to let students know that education is not a scam, right? You see that many graduates, right, from higher college of education and all that, when they come out, one of the concerns, one of the things that we continue to see is that there's no job opportunities that's catering for these people. And then people feel that what's the use of education? So people do not actually get to use their certificates, right? For instance, I studied engineering and I'm currently in the educational sector. I'm teaching and I love what I'm doing, right? I'm really a called educator. I love what I'm doing. I'm teaching passionately. I love it, right? But I've never had the chance to use my engineering certificate to do anything. Although a graduate, one of the best students in my time, but I didn't get, I don't know where my certificate is, right? I'm not saying so, but then I still want to strike the balance that school is not a scam. People should be able to, students should be able to be taught, right? They should know that there's still relevance in school. They should be taught how to read effectively and do well. They should be taught how to manage their time. They should be taught how to focus, because in the long run, everything that they are learning in school will be put together generally, and then it will be part of the things that they will use in the real world. And finally, if I may say, is that students should also be taught how to maximize opportunities, right? One of the things we notice is that, for me, for instance, while I was in school, I didn't get a chance to maximize opportunities. I had one of my colleagues then, he was literally, he's a first class student. I met him there. I came in as a direct entry student, and he was there right from 100 level. And when I came in, he was already having like 3 scholarships from Total, from MTN, and from Shell. You know, he was earning a lot of money every year, earning more than 500,000 in naira, right? And we didn't have any idea what these things are. We don't know how to access these opportunities. So nobody oriented us on opportunities to look out for, like scholarship programs. Today he's outside the country. We didn't know. We didn't have the idea that these programs exist, right? So people should be oriented. Students should know that there are scholarship programs, there are internships opportunities, enlighten them to volunteer, enlighten them to go for trainings and all of that. I feel that these things will really be a good advice that teachers should give to their students. Thank you. I hope I answered that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Johnson. You've really done justice to that question. And I would like to throw the same question to Veronica. Veronica Modi, I can see that she's also online. Please also, from your experience as an educator, what advice would you give to other teachers or educators who want to effectively help their students to transition to higher education? Veronica. Veronica, you can unmute yourself.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Good.
Right, clear. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you once again to College Africa for inviting me. So I'm speaking from the standpoint of being a teacher of about 24 years now, as well as a school leader. And I totally agree with everything that Mr. Obanje has shared. Now, I'll just add a few points. For me, I look at it from 2 standpoints. I look at the curriculum the school is running, and of course, the parental support. So I'll start with the curriculum. Curriculum for every school should be balanced and should be well embedded. What do I mean? So most schools focus on teaching content. So it's all about the topics, but you forget the skill involved. You have to empower the children with the skill they should be able to do, perform, demonstrate. Then you look at context. How do they apply what they have learned in context? So that's one way you can prepare children for life after school. Now, in the midst of it all, there's what we call the core skills, and you look at what we call the soft skills. So every school should look into empowering children with the skills they require for life in higher education. What do I mean? I mentioned things like self-awareness, self-regulation. Self-awareness, self-regulation is important. It starts with the child knowing who I am. Who am I? Who am I in relation to other people? Because this comes into play when they step into college or university. When you don't know yourself, then you lose yourself. The world outside secondary school, or we call high school, it's indeed intense. It is huge. There's a lot involved. So I need to know who I am. Now, in the midst of knowing who I am, know other people, appreciate other cultures. We'll use the word the race. Who are the other people? The religion they run. What are they about? So when you begin to look at life outside secondary school, of course, going to college or university, you need to understand you're going to meet different kinds of people. So then you begin to think about the skill of social interaction. How do you interact with other people? How do I get into a space? How do I meet people? How do I communicate with them? So in the midst of that, look at your communication skills as well. How do I speak? How verbal cues, my body language, how do I carry myself? All these things come into play. So it's so important. We look at the emotional awareness. Do I understand my emotions? In this part of Africa, 2 emotions are so clear to children: anger and happiness. But other emotions, children cannot even tell. So when you get into a space, college and university, these things have a way of influencing you and you cannot manage yourself. Then you look at self-motivation. How do you push yourself? What motivates you? What's your interest? Because this thing comes into showing who you are. Now, we are not looking into applying for college. In the midst of knowing who I am, who other people are, then when you're learning in school, the teacher should also teach them in context, build their interest. It's so important. Don't just steal biology. Don't just teach mathematics. Teach them relevance to the industry. Talk about AI, IT. You need to expose children to debate so they learn how to speak properly. Everything pulls in so the curriculum is balanced. Then we also need to consider mental health as a school, because they are going to meet different kinds of people. We need to teach them money management. It's so important as a school. You may say how? There are simple ways of teaching children to be enterprising, teaching them how to manage their money, because this is part of what they're going to look at. Then I totally support as well what Mr. Banje mentioned about opportunities. We must teach children to recognize opportunities. I like my current school, what we do is we expose them to competitions. We expose them to writing essays. We expose them to, different kinds of online and, of course, physical sessions where they get to meet other children, get to compete and sell themselves. In the midst of that comes into what you're going to write your application. You already understand how to market myself in my social interactions. When I'm going to write out to, do my letter or write out my profile to send to the school, I'm already used to talking about me. I already know what I like, because students are writing to an organization or let's say an institution, they fall back to talk about my demerits. Oh, I'm from a poor nation. There's nothing in my family. Those kind of discussions. You don't know how to market yourself. So you have a program in school that teaches them leadership, teaches them how to develop a CV. These things are skills that should build in the secondary school curriculum. And when the children are leaving you, they're prepared. And the final stages of their life in school will help, culminate everything together. It just makes it easier for them to channel their minds towards a course because their interests are well channeled, their skills are sharp. So when they're making this choice of I'm going to medical line, I'm going to engineering line, I'm going into the arts, they have all those skills within, and it's easier to narrow down what I want to do when I know myself, my interests, I know other people, I know what to expect. And they're not scared when they step out into either world because they come with a confident child who can engage anyway. So that's my advice to school. The curriculum should be balanced. And while you're teaching content, please teach skills and ensure you give them context. Let them understand the application of what they're learning to the real world so that when they're ready to step out, they're not scared and they're not lost. So that's my candid advice.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Really appreciate that your contribution. And I would like to throw the same question to Namita. Namita, if you're there, you can also join your voice to what others
I am. Thank you so much, Benga, and fantastic response, Veronica and Johnson. I'm not going to repeat much of what you've said, but I completely agree with both Veronica and Johnson's points. Skill development is absolutely crucial when it comes to university preparedness. And a lot of our curricula are still focused on content all over the world, whether we're in India, whether you're in the UK, whether you're in the US, whether you're in Africa. We have a tendency to talk at students and then they take notes. And then, you have these tests and exams and then you judge a child. That's not wrong. You have to definitely learn how to learn. You have to know things. But, now that we have the internet, knowing things and being able to retain that information is not as important as being able to apply it. So you need to have experiential learning where you're actually experiencing something. Field trips are fantastic. It has to start when you're young, taking them to somewhere like a hiking in a mountain or taking them outside, exposing them to in a competition, like Veronica said, doing things that are not just about, learning content is what schools really need to think about. And group projects, I know we do that in many schools, but focusing on group projects as well teaches collaboration skills as well. I have a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old, and even, they're good learners, but when they're in groups, I've seen them kind of wear different hats. Sometimes they're a leader, sometimes they're a listener, sometimes they're They want their point to kind of come across, and sometimes they're happy to listen to others. But that skill, like managing a group of differently abled students or students who might have a different idea from you, those are fantastic skills to eventually then, when you're at university, you're going to be in an environment where, like Veronica said, people from different races, people from different religions, people from different experiences come together. One of the things that I really kind of advocate for is reading. I think reading above and beyond the curriculum is extremely crucial. We have a tendency to follow a curriculum. Do we give out reading lists to our students? Just reading for the joy of reading, books, just kind of keeps the imagination going, keeps the juices running, so that eventually students can bring that creativity to whatever they want to study. I think reading is absolutely crucial. And I also think, reading the newspaper is really important. You need to know what's going on in the world, right? You cannot wait to get to university and be like, oh, I didn't even know that this country existed. So constantly knowing what's going on in the world, conversing with students and with other students as well about that would be a fantastic way to be ready for university. And I loved Veronica's point about personal reflection, right? That's such a hard skill. We don't, I remember when I applied to university many years ago, and, I was asked about myself and my growth and what I want to do. I've never really thought about it until when I applied. So if we kind of have that embedded in our education system, I know some schools do it. They have things called student-led conferences where you take your parents around and you explain your work, or you have to reflect on everything you've done. That skill is crucial even in the application process. And then when you're at university, and then ties in with what Veronica said about being self-aware. So, I'm not going to take more time, but I genuinely believe that learning skills like collaboration are really important. Having them embedded in our curriculum through experiential learning and reading are just some of the ways that we can get our students ready for university. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Namita. This is interesting. I've really learned a lot. Even myself as an educator, I've learned a lot from what you guys have, mentioned tonight. And I think it's very important, for these issues to be, developed in the secondary schools, particularly the aspect of curriculum in terms of, students getting to know themselves, realizing who they are, the passions they have, and all of that. And then these aspects of getting information about, things that are happening out there. I think these are the things that, from what you guys have mentioned, that would help students to prepare for the higher education. So I would like to go to the personal questions for the speakers, but I will also, if anyone has a question, you can just type it in the chat room, and then I will get to see the questions later on. So I will just go to the personal questions, and I will start with Johnson again. Johnson, so the question is, what needs to be changed or to be included in school's curriculum to better prepare students for the future outside of high school? I know we've mentioned some of those things, but can you just be a bit more detailed about what are the things that needs to be included, specifically, that we can just, yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I think I'm just going to start off from where Namita left off, right? Because some of the things that needs to change in the school curricula is these are some of the points that Namita was really emphasizing on, right? We noticed that the school system is designed in such a way, like what she spoke about, in that people are focused more on content, right? Content-based learning without having these learners to really experience learning, right? So the experiential part of learning is something that I've seen that is quite lacking, right, in our school system and curriculum, right? So if I would add to that, right, one of the things I would say is that the school system must begin to shift from focusing on the traditional system of education, right, to a more practical and experiential-based learning, such that learners' critical thinking and problem-solving abilities is being developed, right? You will agree with me that in life, we are not paid for the courses we've studied in school. People are not being paid or do not earn income because they studied a particular course. You earn because of the problem you are able to solve, right? Students earn particularly because of the solutions they are able to bring to this dying world. You see, the world is filled with lots of problems that need solutions. So if I may say something now, is that our school system must begin to emphasize on raising learners who can solve these issues that is facing the globe, global problems, bringing global solutions to global issues. And my emphasis is on global because there are really global problems, like global warming is a concern, educational issues, just taking a view on the global landscape. It will be wise that the school begin to shift to raising people who are problem solvers, right? Then if I would add to, right, I would say that our learners also should begin to should be trained on financial intelligence. If we must add something to the curriculum, it should be financial intelligence. These are things that are not being taught in school, and then people get to navigate their way. They get to struggle to find their footing. They have no idea on finances. They don't know how money is being made. They don't know how to save. They don't know how money is grown. They don't know how to multiply their income. This is a real problem. Many people really, if you probe deeper into people's mindset, you get to discover that many people are in school really to earn a living. Aside that they want to they want to gain some level of fulfillment, they also want to earn some level of remuneration from what they are doing. They want to earn income. So how is money being made? How is money being multiplied? How do they save? These things should be embedded in our curricula, right? People should learn this from the school system. People should learn this before being allowed and being released into the world. They should know these things. Then leading network of exceptional tutors. The next thing I would like to say is from my what I've seen leading network of exceptional tutors. I lead a community of educators. I have teachers teaching across the nation and also in the UK, right? And many times when I get to interview some of these teachers, you see people with excellent CV, you see people with professional write-ups doing a lot of things. But then when you throw questions at them, or you just ask them to just tell me a few things about what you understand about this concept, and you just see them really dumbfounded. They have no idea about what they've studied. They have no idea about sorry about that. They have no idea about what they are really doing, right? And this is a huge concern. What exactly have you studied? What can you speak? Can you be able to eloquently communicate your thoughts to people? And this is a huge concern. Many people do not have this communication skill. They do not know how to pitch an idea. And this is what the world is looking for. They want to see people who can communicate their thoughts, who can put together their ideologies together and then say it to the world in a convincing way. You don't just come to a group of people and just, So I think that the school system should begin to include effective communication as part of their as part of what should be taught, right? It should be embedded there. And then Namita mentioned something. She mentioned reading newspapers, right? People should read, right? And it's really interesting. You need to know what's happening across the globe. So how do the school system should also find a way to allow people to have a level of global awareness. They should know what's happening across the globe. They should have an idea of what's happening across the globe. So this global awareness should be embedded in the curriculum, right? And maybe if I would conclude, I would say that one thing that is also lacking is that we do not have people who leave school do not leave school with high income skill. They don't leave school with high income skills. So you have people who graduate from school and they don't have payable skill. They don't have skills that are in demand. So if I would say in every starter, in every educational sphere, there should be high income skills included in the curriculum so that people will get to learn these skills that without doing any other thing, they should be able to start up something. They should be able to create solutions that the world will be looking out for. So if these things are embedded, I feel that if schools can change their narrative in this perspective and in these areas that I have shared, I believe that there'll be a huge difference in the educational sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Johnson. That was wonderful. And I think we have learned a lot from your submission. I'd like to throw the second question to Veronica. As an experienced educator, how can educators, create a supportive learning environment for students? How can educators create a supportive environment for students who are preparing for higher education? Veronica, if you're there, can you
Thank
please?
you.
All
Yes,
right.
I'm here. Can we hear me?
Yes.
So everything starts with planning. Everything starts with planning. I heard, I was privileged to join when the previous session was ending. I love what the lady was speaking, was saying about the fact that if it's structured, it will work. So everything starts with planning. So if you, or as a school, if you identify the crop of programs that are out there for children, then you need to plan it into the finishing session for, let's say, the final year students. So from the year 10 or year 9, you can organize what we call an options week. In my school, we call it year 9 options week, where they get to choose their subjects. Before they choose the subjects, let's have people from different walks of life, those who are in different career pathways, those who are involved in helping children into schools abroad or within the nation, coming to talk to them. Because sometimes it's good for children and of course involve their parents. You're not only talking to the children, they're talking to the parents. When they come in, they hear firsthand for people who are on the field. Because sometimes people think, oh, as teachers or as leaders, we're talking to the children, oh, it's my teacher just talking, they're just sharing ideas with me. But if you bring in somebody who's out there who is probably in that line as a career path, it makes more sense. I don't know if you're getting me. So it's richer. That's the truth. It's richer. Bringing experts who are into a school, admission processes, how to write your CV, how to market yourself, the core skills required in the industries. People who are also working in those little fields and expose the children. Take them out to those sessions because it works in. Then they choose their subjects. Ensure the choice of subject for their GCSEs or WAEC or IGCSEs, whatever curriculum you're running, is not so narrow. Ensure they pick subjects that allows them to make a change. When they get to their sixth form or A levels, they can swap. I've had a child who, I'm a pure science teacher for 24 years, who went into her IB and swapped to study law. How was she able to swap? It's because she had the choice of subjects who allowed her to make the choice of studying law in university. I was heartbroken because oh my God, my science student is gone, but I knew it was going to happen because I saw this girl in action. She's highly analytical. She's someone who's able to use evidence, to support her argument, and she's articulate. So it was easy for her to, be able to do that switch. So ensure their choice of subject does not box them into a corner, because the reality of it is when they're year 10 or year 11, or what we call SS3 or SS1 in Nigeria, they haven't actually made up their minds what they want to do. So many things can change. It just takes one theory of knowledge session in IB and their interest to change. It just takes one A-level course, or they have courses children don't even know about until they get into sixth form. They hear, oh my God, I can actually study this and it's possible. So it's important we expose them. So it comes with the planning. School should plan for life after secondary school. Ensure choice of subjects allow children to make the necessary swaps if it actually comes. Then ensure you have sessions that teach the skills they need outside the core skills. It's so important. Then expose them to those opportunities where they can meet people outside your school system that will broaden their minds. It's so important. So that's my submission. Plan for it, and then of course implement and monitor. Another suggestion I'll have is think about getting them to do job placement. Some schools call it internship. 2 weeks during their holiday, go work somewhere, because they need to get into the workspace. Learn to work and dress up in the morning, wake up early, present yourself. You're given a task, you know how to meet up with with the task you're giving. It just helps to prepare them so they don't just jump into school and they're shocked, or they walk into a work environment and they're shocked. So that's my submission.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Thank you so much. So I would like to ask Namita the third question, the third personal question. This is very, very important because your question will be dealing with the issue of academic stress. And I think this is one of the things that students go through, particularly those who are having so many tasks to perform. So the question is, what strategies can be employed by schools to address academic stress, especially with students who have multiple exams, university applications, etc.? Namita?
Thank you so much, Benga. Again, fantastic responses by Veronica and Johnson. I think one thing that is missing in schools is communication between the teachers and understanding what is actually going on in that student's life, right? I mean, when it comes to exams, say internal exams, forget about university applications, internal exams, or if they're playing a sport for the school, or if they're in a music club, or if they're doing other things, oftentimes things clash. And the teachers are not aware, and the student is struggling. Like I've seen that happen with some of my own students as well, where there's too many things happening at the same time. And the child is penalized because they didn't submit a homework or they didn't do something because they were genuinely busy. So I think communication between the teachers, the principal and the faculty, and to understand, students' schedules are really important. I think when it comes to university applications, one thing that I've seen that works very effectively is if you have a period in your curriculum that is dedicated just for that, so that students can focus on their university applications during school time, and you're not only expecting them to do it on their own outside of school when they have homework and they have revision and tons of other stuff to do. It doesn't have to be every week. It doesn't have to be many times, but even if you dedicate a period or a block of time every 2 weeks or every month where they can come together, they can ask questions, and they're not distracted by the many other things that they have the opportunity to do. I also think that having personalized meetings with the students to kind of explain to them what is important is very crucial, because an enthusiastic student might want to do everything and then not end up doing anything well, whereas certain students might be like, well, I don't really want to do anything and I'm happy to do one thing. But if there's a voice to kind of help you understand that, hey, why don't you take a step back? You don't need to play 3 instruments, you can play 1. You don't need to play every sport in the school. Why don't we cut one out of your schedule? Then they probably perform a lot better. And sometimes I also feel that in schools, there's always the same set of students that are asked to do everything. We all know that. There's those high achieving students, the ones that the teachers can trust to get the work done. We all go to the same kids, and then they're overwhelmed. They don't know who to say yes to. They don't know who to say no to. So, we as educators need to also understand that if I've invited this student to be in the MUN and the sports team, and on a school play, like they're invited to be like a good role in the play, that there's just too much on their plate. And sometimes these kids aren't mature enough to make the decision to say no, or are not mature enough, or don't even have the ability to say that I've got too much happening. I've seen that happen. So I think these ideas are quite something that we can work on. And of course, having mental health counselors around in the school, people that they can approach, that they can speak to. I do know that in several schools, this is part of your curriculum. There's a block where sometimes students meet counselors in a group, or they meet them individually. So there's an opportunity to kind of just voice if you're under stress or if there's too much going on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Namita. That was a brilliant submission. And then I think we have some questions also from the audience. I mean, if you have question, please, can you just type it on in the chat room? But I think I have about 2 questions from the same person. Shepo asked, what is the best way for teachers, educators, and learners to collaborate on such? Because now activities like competition, debates, they are great and get to expose speakers at an early age. So what is the best way for teachers, educators, and learners to collaborate? Because, I mean, I think that's a very good question because, for example, even on this platform, we have so many ideas, so many things that have been said there. So how can we bring all this together in order to achieve this common goal? I think anyone can answer the question. Any of the speakers can answer the question.
Okay, can I answer? Okay, so
please go ahead.
Yes, I think schools and organizations who are in educational lines should take advantage of professional spaces that they have. What do I mean? You could have like a platform for teachers in your country, or probably have a platform for learning, or you have if I may give an example, you have ASA, you have ASEN, some countries have APEN, you have COBIS. These are just examples of organizations who work in the line with schools to empower schools and to support schools or even resource them. So you could have such sessions organized on that scale, and schools can subscribe, whether they pay or not, and they get involved. That way it's a common plan they all have, and it's well structured. The skills they want to embed, the kind of activities they have, it just helps. Because if we leave it to individuals, there's so much one person can do. So I think we should collaborate and take advantage of all the professional space organizations that are involved in supporting schools, training teachers, having sessions with students. I can drive those programs through those organizations. It has a farther reach because, say for example, it goes far. So yes, take advantage of those spaces.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Then I have another question for Namita. I think one of the, same Shepo said, at school, university, and college, what problem are they actually solving? I don't know. Namita, I said the question is directed to Namita. So what problem are they actually solving at school, university, college, and do you understand the question, Namita?
I mean, I can have a go, absolutely. So
Right.
look, what problem are they solving? I think, Shepherd, this is up for debate. I sometimes I don't know whether we all agree on what they're trying to solve. I mean, I think there's so many articles and so many newspapers, so many discussions about, is it actually the university's job to make you job ready or not? Or is it pure education? Is it skills? What exactly is it? I mean, I remember having a debate with other educators on how your undergraduate degree should be whatever you love doing. And your undergraduate degree is going to give you skills to eventually apply to most jobs in the world, except if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, then you have to follow the path. But if you study history, or if you study anthropology, or if you study mathematics, you're going to get certain skills that you can apply to many jobs. So that's probably how universities looked at it. There are several universities in the world as well where you can do multiple different programs. So you're learning knowledge and you're getting exposure. But if we look at these settings, like a school, a university, and a college, there's a lot more learning and a lot more problem solving that they're trying to do. And this includes, again, skill development, learning to work in a community, awareness about yourself, awareness about others, all that is eventually going to help you in your future. Whatever you eventually want to do. But this is what are they trying to solve? I think in history, it was a way to get groups of people together where you had someone learned telling you something because they've experienced life longer than you. And of course, we still currently have a very similar education system where we follow a curriculum, there's exams, students are kind of compared, but things are changing. There are different kinds of universities that are being built. I don't know if any of you have heard of this university called Minerva. They don't have one building anymore. It's a university where students every semester are in a different place. There are opportunities to learn online. There's many different kinds of ways to impart knowledge and education. And I think as we continue in this millennial, there's going to be more and more ways to continue to upskill, learn, and meet people, which is, essentially the whole ethos of these education institutes. I hope that answers your question, Chepo.
You've definitely answered my question. Thank you so much. Even though I would love to have a debate about this so that we can, find out how things actually came about, right? So that we can see the kind of solution that we're trying to solve, because of all goes back to the research. If we do our early research, you'll be able to find better solution, right? And so that is why I asked these questions. So thank you so much also for you, Veronica, for the ed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for asking your question. Thank you. And before we close this session, I don't know if there is any other question from anybody, but I think I also have a question I would like to ask the speakers so that we can just discuss on it. I'm just wondering about the issue of peer influence or peer pressures, or that could lead to things like cultism and all of that. How do we also address this from the secondary school level? Because I feel like, it's also it is one of the problems that students in higher educational sectors have. And I think those problems actually started from where they were in, high schools. So how do we, address this as part of the preparations for them to get to higher educational sectors? So I think any of the speakers can answer the question, because I think it's one of the major issues that, we have, with.
Is it okay if I start? If I
Yes,
throw
Johnson.
a bit of.
Go ahead.
Okay. So talking about peer pressure and then how it relates to cultism, I think we have to first of all draw the graph back to its foundation. How exactly do people end up? Why you understand? Why do people end up right in cultism? Why do they allow themselves to be pressured by their peers? If we go back to the root of this discussion, we'll be able to see why and be able to pull it out from the root and solve the problem, right? So coming from the root point, the base point of this is that most students, most learners are having issues around identity crisis, self-discovery, and then they feel from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? People always have the need to feel loved, they have the need to feel valued, and they have the need to feel appreciated. So they want to feel this sense of belonging. And when they are part of something that is happening, they feel this sense of belonging, right? So I think the root problem is in the identity crisis that people are having, and then the mindset that they have before going to what was it called, before they go into college, right? So if we want to solve this, we'll have to start dealing with issues around their mindset, around their self-discovery, and how much value they place on themselves. If we can address that, you see that people that transition into high school will minimize issues around being pressured by their peers or going into vices like cultism, right? So we have to start by addressing that root cause, which is the identity crisis that people are facing. Okay, if we address that, we'll in the long run settle that issue. I remember while I was in school, the primary school now, I still remember then that I was doing very well, one of the top students in my class too, right? Even from primary, right? But then there were this set of guys in the class, they always sit behind. Some of us, you understand that. People that are always behind the class and they'll try to create a nuisance and all of that. But there's the way they carry themselves, you feel really, you feel the urge, you feel like your own life is boring. Do you understand? You want to be a part of something that is really making a change. So if we start to address issues around people understanding that who you are matters, and you should be the one creating the change rather than trying to be a part of these kind of issues, I feel that we'll be able to address some of these things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Any addition or any other contribution? Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, John. Really apt. The identity is key. They know themselves. I also want to add that schools should think around their safeguarding policies, child protection, because the environment is key to a child learning. Children are coming from different homes, and whatever their children, that's the truth. They're still unsure. They're trying to explore. They're learning to be assertive. They go overboard. Some might be timid. They don't know how to go about it. But if the school has a policy that helps to protect everyone in school, ensure the school is safe and children can engage without barriers, it's going to be helpful. So to address those challenges, when a child does something inappropriate or unkind to another person, how do you address that child? Is it just sanction and walk away? You sanction, but you need to redirect. You need to help the child understand this is the best way to behave. And the other child who is somewhat timid, unable to speak up, they should empower that child to be able to say, this is what is happening to me, support me, help me, and it should be well managed. So when those settings happen within secondary school, it prepares them for life after, because it helps to build their confidence, they can learn well, and they can mature ready for higher school. So they get into higher education and they get into an environment that is broader and has more people. Already they've addressed all these identity issues in school, you've created a safe environment, then they come into the wider world, they're better prepared. It's because we don't manage these things well that, in quote, the bullies go on to university and continue, and the timid ones going to university and remain the same way. And that's a wider space. So I think schools should look into their safeguarding policies. How do you help children who you notice have conduct issues? How do you support? You just punish them or sanction them, and that's end. And the child, because some of these bullies are angry children. They're children who are probably coming from a home front that had challenge. They've seen abuse in different forms, and they come to school and lash out on the other children. So how are you supporting them? Because you don't throw the baby with the bathwater. You need to help the child. The other one who's withdrawn and unhappy and showing those funny mannerisms, suicidal tendencies and all that, how do we help them? Because it's important. The teachers themselves, are they the ones empowering these things? Because everything works together. So if you look into our safeguarding policies as a school and it's working right, we prepare them better. They're more confident, they're happier, and everyone is ready to step into the wider world of higher education, and they meet people like that there, they know how to manage themselves. So I think that's very helpful.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Thank you so much. That was very wonderful. And I think it shows that we have a lot to do as educators, as teachers at both secondary school level, higher education, and the higher education level. So we have a lot to do together to be able to shape the future of these students. Thank you very much. I want to appreciate everyone for this session. I think I don't know if there's any other question, but I think we can just end the session while I hand over to the co-host. But before then, please, can everyone just, the speakers share their social media handles, and so that we can connect afterwards. And I also want to implore the College Guide Africa to make this, the submissions that people have made in this session, to go viral, just, spread it across so that others who are not here can also learn from it. Thank you very much, everyone. Namita, Veronica, and then Johnson. So I will hand over to the co-host, Pej.
Thank you so much, Benga. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Yeah.
So Pej, can you take over?
Okay. Thank you, moderator, for welcoming me. Yeah, and let me ask whether we have captured picture. I think we need to capture picture for our social media first.
All right.
Kindly follow me. You confirm whether you have captured for picture.
Done. It's been done.
It is done.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you everyone who tuned in today. I really appreciate so much all your inputs. I know